Well, thank you. And Fred Hunter does such a great job. He listed the famous athletes that came out of PAL, but he left out those who remember the Fab Five and that national championship run their freshman year. You know, the captain of the team was a fellow by the name of Freddie Hunter, who's a basketball legend in his own right. Glad to be working with him here. To the governor, to the legislators, to Christopher Harkins, did such a great job on the budget side. This is a great accomplishment. Republicans and Democrats working together got a budget that works for this state. And you're always going to have some partisan conflict, but I got to say, this last year, I thought that Senator Shirkey, that Speaker Wentworth, of course, Donald Lazinski's here, and Jim Ananich on the two sides, kept the fighting down to the point where we got something done. And when the parties work together, it matters. You are sitting right now on a field that's transformed this neighborhood. It's here because Carl Levin is a U.S. Senator, got money set aside in Washington, D.C. to transform the old Tiger Stadium site, not to be bulldozed and made into a dry cleaners, but to be preserved for the city. And in this next budget, everything we're doing right now with the American Rescue Plan is what can you do to change the state and the city for generations? And I know the governor will talk about that, but let me just talk about what our delegation did so effectively for us in Detroit. In this budget, in this past year, $100 million to build the Joe Louis Greenway, which is essentially abandoned railroad track filled with dumped tires in neighborhoods that many folks thought had been forgotten, and instead building the most beautiful park and thruway system, turning blight into beauty and improving neighborhoods from one end of this city to another. It is going to change the city for generations. There's $100 million in here for Wayne State University to build a new cancer research center to keep Wayne State and Carmanos at the national leadership on cancer research. $100 million in here for the University of Michigan to build an innovation center, a grad school for mobility and the latest tech jobs in the shadow of the train station, which if you haven't driven by to see what's going on there, is absolutely spectacular as the employees' affordable design, the automated and electric vehicles of the future. There's $25 million in here in industrial site cleanup for the city of Detroit. The Packard plant was closed in 1958 because of this budget that the state got done. It is going to be removed and put back into productive use after a lot of decades, and $15 million in home repairs for seniors in the neighborhoods who have stuck with us in the toughest times and need to get their roofs repaired, need to get their furnaces replaced and the like. All of that was done because the Republicans and Democrats came together. And I wanted to be here to say thank you. The governor has fought for us at every single step of the way and been a great friend of the city. And we've been pleased that we've been able to work across the aisles with people like Senator Stamas and others who have been very helpful on that side. In addition to transforming the city, this budget is very good for Wayne County. And a lot of what you're seeing is you look at other parts of the country and elected officials are fighting with each other. County Executive Warren and Evans and I work arm in arm in every single initiative, and it's a big part of why things are coming back. And so with that, let me turn it over to my partner, the County Executive, Warren Evans.
Good morning, everybody. I could probably just start and finish with saying what he said. Wayne County has 43 communities. Detroit is by far the biggest, and what's good for Detroit is generally good for Wayne County. But in this budget, Governor, there have been resources made for many of the other communities in Wayne County that are particularly helpful. You know, we got 1.8 million people, give or take a couple, in this county, and that's about a fifth of the state's population. And the more funds represent the collective interests of all of those communities in Wayne County is really important, and this budget does. And I have to thank the governor. I mean, as as an executive, I certainly understand the budget process, the difficulties in the budget process. I've never been a legislative person, but I can certainly feel for you when folks are trying to get together to make something happen. And in this environment that is so polarized, it is far more important that I say to you and thank you for putting the people first, for finding ways to come together and keep some of the partisan issues out of the fight and to move the state forward. We've had a tough 3 or 4 years, and it hasn't been easy for anybody. The pandemic hasn't helped anything. But as I look out at the public servants that are here and the public servants that are behind me, we've got a pretty good team. We really do. I mean, you can always improve, but as long as you can keep some of the partisan stuff to the side. Governor, thank you for the priorities of schools, education, kids. I mean, at the end of the day, we want the next generation to feel comfortable that they can excel anywhere and anyhow. And I think in light of the situation, the governor's done a tremendous job. It's 90 degrees out here, and I'm not going to make a speech, but I do want to introduce Maria Franklin, who is the Director of Enrichment here at PAL. She's also a PAL parent, and without saying anything else, really important person, somebody that we all try to work to get funds for because of what she develops. Maria, thank you so much.
Good morning. As the Director of Youth Enrichment, I'm honored to usher in such great news. Detroit PAL has been a long-standing pillar in my family's life, from my husband playing PAL football to our 3 children now participating in PAL sports and youth enrichment programming. And they're sitting right to the side here with me today. And now working with thousands of youth as the Director of Youth Enrichment that PAL serves across 93 neighborhoods in the city of Detroit and surrounding suburbs. As a PAL parent, I look for 3 things in programs for my kids. That's quality exposures, consistency, and a pipeline of opportunity that leads to long-term success. And as the Director of Youth Enrichment at Detroit PAL, I look for the same 3 things for all youth that we serve. Through PAL sports, our kids are gaining confidence, practicing goal setting, learning what it means to be resilient, and the value of finishing what they start, and how to step outside of their comfort zones. Maybe more importantly, they've gained a village, a family in Detroit PAL, caring police officers, adult mentors, coaches, volunteers, and staff who constantly set a high bar of excellence. We have a 10-year-old daughter, sorry, Aubrey. Aubrey. We have a 13-year-old son and a 17-year-old son. That's Aiden and Evan over there. And for the past 12 years, starting when my oldest son was just 5 years old, far before I even thought about working at Detroit PAL, I could always depend on Detroit PAL for affordable programs, from soccer for my sons Aiden and Evan to reading, tutoring, and golf for my daughter, exposures that help transform and shape their confidence on the soccer field. Aiden and Evan, I can remember when they first made their first goal, and the confidence shot through the roof, and it hasn't come down since. And Aubrey, just getting exposure to the person who holds the world record for the long drive in golf, and then coming to me afterward and saying, "Mom, I want to be the greatest golfer in the universe," because of the exposures that they've been able to gain through Detroit PAL. I'm thankful for the programs like the Drones Apprenticeship Program that is a part of our strategic partnerships that Evan has been a part of for workforce development training and earning certificates in Lean Six Sigma, OSHA 10 certifications, blueprint reading, and others that have helped my son develop as a young man. I'm often in talks with my children for feedback and kind of surveying them. They kind of act as my guinea pigs on what type of programs to provide to other youth. I asked Aiden what he wants to be when he grows up, and he said he didn't know before, but now he can see himself as an entrepreneur because of the week he spent learning about the business model canvas at Northwood University. The partnerships that we engage in allow our organization to stay true to our mission and focus on what we do best. That's community engagement with police through sports programming and providing resources for Detroit youth. Sharing a love of sports is enough, but Detroit PAL is more than the 13 sports we offer for boys and girls. We're taking advantage of the opportunities to leverage the gathering effect of sports and maximize the community resources and align youth to the expertise of our partner organizations, teaching them to compete on the field and off the field in their education, internships, and careers. The work is not just a nice to have, but it is a must have in our community. And I want to thank Governor Whitmer and her state administration for supporting Detroit PAL as we genuinely work to help youth find their greatness. Please join me in welcoming to the stage one of our biggest supporters, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you, Maria, and Mayor and County Exec. So glad that we're all here. When the team said, where do you want to sign the budget? I said, in Detroit, of course, on the hottest day you can find in a place where there's no shade. I'm so glad to be here with all of you today. This really is a fantastic moment, and I want to recognize the legislators. If you might stand so everyone can see, we've got a great bipartisan, bicameral group of legislators here who worked so hard to get these budgets done. So I'm excited to be here at the Corner Ballpark to sign my 4th bipartisan state budget. Families have gathered here to watch the Tigers play for decades, and future generations will watch their kids play here, learning lifelong skills and making lasting friendships along the way. And so I thank the folks at PAL for having us today. Last week, I signed our bipartisan education budget to improve every kid's in-class experience so we can recruit the best teachers and folks in our schools and build up our schools. The education budget invests an average of $1,076 more into all of the nearly 264,000 public school students in Wayne County. There are dedicated resources for on-campus mental health assistance and to help our kids get caught up. And the education budget includes $250 million for school infrastructure, so our schools can install air conditioning, upgrade facilities, refurbish classrooms, and to make sure that it's more conducive to learning. And it'll give us the ability to recruit 2,500 teachers every year with $10,000 scholarships. Today's budget I'm signing is everything else, right? It's the omnibus budget. And this fiscally responsible budget brings our rainy day fund to an all-time high of $1.6 billion. It pays down billions in debt and secures the retirements of state troopers, among other public servants. And best of all, we didn't raise taxes by a dime to get it done, and it got done on time. So before I get into what this budget means for Detroit, I want to take a moment to remember Officer Lauren Quartz. Officer Quartz was a dedicated public servant and proud Detroiter, and he was killed in the line of duty on July 6th. Officer Quartz was not only a dedicated officer, but he's also an amazing dad and proud son of a Detroit police officer as well. And his loss reminds us all that the officers who serve our community in uniform all have a story. They are individuals. Officer Quartz' story was cut short, but his legacy will live on. And his wife noted that Lauren was so much more than just a police officer to her and her children. They called him their Batman. So violence in our communities took Officer Quartz, a son and husband and father, away from us. We must do better so that every law enforcement officer can go home at the end of the day and all of our families can continue to feel safe in their neighborhoods. Well, this budget makes a real investment in public safety, and that's something that is incredibly important. So we can reduce violence and help communities fund law enforcement and invest in programs like the very one that we're highlighting today, Detroit PAL, to build trust. Now let's get into what else this budget means for Michigan. Simply put, it invests in people, It unleashes Michigan's potential, and it funds key projects. First, people. Two top-of-mind priorities for every Michigander is public health and public safety, and this budget invests in both. We all want to bring down crime and keep our families safe, and this budget gets it done by funding local law enforcement and first responders. And to better public health, the budget improves dental care access for Michiganders enrolled in Medicaid, cleans up contaminated sites, speeds up lead service line replacement, and funds construction of a new psychiatric hospital for the state, expanding mental health services capacity. And next, I want to talk about Michigan's potential. To grow our Michigan workforce, this budget funds the Michigan Reconnect and Growing Pro, programs that offer tuition-free higher education or skills training and help businesses develop in-house talent. Michiganders work hard. When we support their grit with programs like these and investments that channel them effectively, there is no limit to what we can do. And finally, projects. From the state psychiatric hospital I mentioned a moment ago, to a new state public health lab, to a new veterans home in Marquette, this budget makes investments in Michiganders that we can see and that we can use every day in infrastructure and facilities that serve the community. Next door in Macomb County, the budget will support Mound Road project and shoring up a key economic corridor for our state. But today I want to focus on the bipartisan budget's most notable investments right here in Detroit. The budget funds the Joe Louis Greenway, a 27.5-mile greenway connecting parks and neighborhoods across the city. The Detroit Center for Innovation, a world-class research, education, and entrepreneurship center right in the heart of the city. A cancer institute at Wayne State, where life-saving breakthroughs will be made, and a significant investment in the Detroit Medical Center's Children's Hospital and psychiatric ward to expand capacity and serve more patients. Facility improvements at the Wayne Port Authority to streamline trade, and a global talent initiative to bring skilled entrepreneurs, professionals, and students from around the world to the city of Detroit. The Sickle Cell Center and the Ruth Ellis Center to improve health outcomes, and Eastern Market, the Detroit Historical Center, Michigan Science Center, Charles Wright Museum, the downtown boxing gym to improve the quality of life, just to name a few. But we're here at the Corner Ballpark because the bipartisan budget funds and expands the Detroit PAL program. I've heard about the Detroit PAL program from so many people, from Detroiters, from local officers, from members of my staff who are alums. And as was mentioned earlier, that includes the Lieutenant Governor, also an alum of Detroit PAL. Detroit PAL changes children's lives. Thanks to the tireless dedication of thousands of volunteers and parents, this is a range of programming that is made available, from sports to enrichment to mentorship. And Detroit PAL is a testament to what's possible when local law enforcement and the community partner up. Local officers who work hard protecting public safety volunteer their own free time to support the community. They coach teams, they serve as role models, they build trust, all while offering children a safe place to play and to grow. So this is truly a remarkable program here, and I'm proud that this budget will help it grow and serve more children. Detroit's most powerful asset is, of course, its people, especially our youngest people. The program will help them thrive and strive for excellence in sports, at home, and in the classroom. In September 2009, nearly 13 years ago, Time magazine ran a special report called The Tragedy of Detroit. Recently, Detroiters have written a very different story. Last August, when the World Economic Forum established a new global center for urban transformation headquartered in the city of Detroit. Last October, Apple launched a developer academy to help students and entrepreneurs pursue their high-tech dreams right here in Detroit. In February, Ford and Google announced revitalization of the Michigan Central Station and construction of a new mobility innovation district right here in Detroit. In March, the NFL announced the 2024 draft will be right here in Detroit. In the budget that I will sign today, we funded the Detroit Center for Innovation, the world-class high-tech education and entrepreneurship center to develop talent and create jobs right here in Detroit. And last week, 12 years, 9 months, and 26 days after that Time magazine cover, Detroit was named one of the world's 100 greatest places of 2022 by Time magazine. The remarkable work that's happening here. And the leaders behind me are absolutely pivotal to making sure that that happens. The truth is, Detroit is on the rise because of Detroiters. The energy here is undeniable. You can feel it. The city is buzzing with life, from vibrant Saturday nights downtown, calm Sundays on Belle Isle, to state budget signings on Wednesdays at the Pale Diamond. We're turning heads here in the Motor City, showing the world and each other what we are capable of when we come together to get things done. Detroit versus everybody is more than a slogan on a hat or a t-shirt. It's an earned attitude of resilience, of pride, and that spirit lives right here in all of you. I know that more and more people will see what I see in the people here, and it's a city defined by character, culture, and creativity, a beacon of innovation and entrepreneurship, a story that's not even close to being finished. So, I am thrilled to be signing this budget here. I know I've focused a bit on Detroit because that's where I'm standing, but this budget has something remarkable for every community across the state of Michigan. You will see the benefit of the investment that we are making in our people, in our infrastructure, in our places, and in our potential, our collective potential. Because when one part of our state succeeds, every part of our state succeeds. But this budget is focused on every part of the state of Michigan and every person in the state of Michigan. And I'm so grateful to the legislature for being great partners as we got it over the finish line on time, no new taxes, and it is a budget that we can all be proud of. Thank you. All right, Stacy.
Governor, what's your biggest message to Detroiters who are still struggling with inflation, high gas prices, and other financial challenges?
Yeah, we know that it has been hard, and that's why we've made some really historic investments and things that will help bring the cost of living down for people. We still have an opportunity in front of us to do more, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to do that. I have proposed a pause on the sales tax on gas. I have proposed an inflation help for people across the state, a $500 bit of help that we could get fast and into people's pockets and their bank accounts. Proposed eliminating the pension tax. These are all an increase in the earned income tax credit for working people who can't keep their head above water but are doing the best they can and working full time. So these are ways that we can continue the collaboration. I know the legislature has said that they are very interested in giving people some relief right now, so it's my hope that when they reconvene in Lansing that we're going to be able to find some common ground. That is the goal. That has always been. And this budget, despite making historic investments in the fundamentals, we've also been able to keep some money on the balance sheet, which means that we're still in a position to do that good work, and I'm hopeful and eager to do that.
Governor Whitmer, on that same note, you said when the legislature returns to
No, we have an open dialogue. The budget director continuously is working with the legislative leaders and legislative staff. They're not in session, but that doesn't mean that they're not working.
I've talked to a lot of legislators that are super excited about Detroit's spend and this number of other historic investments.
I'll ask the budget director to talk a little bit about that. But Eric, we've been very strategic in ensuring that one-time dollars are not used for ongoing expenditures. And as we see this budget has continued to grow, it couldn't come at a more important time as we're trying to recover from COVID and help make communities where small businesses can thrive and invest in our kids to get them back on track and in their schools and in our educators. So we've been strategic. We've also made a record investment in our rainy day fund. That's something that we thought was very important, and as you probably know, even in the midst of all of the incredible challenges that we've had to confront, we have seen our credit rating got increased by 2 different agencies, upgraded by 2 different agencies. So it shows that this strategy really is important and it's working. We've got, we aren't out of the soup. We are bracing for what may be tough times ahead, but I think the prudent way that we've designed this budget will help us sustain those fundamental investments and be able to really put Michigan on a long-term path for prosperity. Anything you want to add, Budget Director?
You've done well.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, well, you know, every cycle, no matter who's the governor, no matter who's in the legislature, that is a part of what happens in negotiations. I don't think that there were any surprises there. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I mean, there are a number of things that were unenforceable put in the budget. There were a number of items on which we didn't agree, but like I said, I don't think that there were any surprises there. Thank you. All right. I love how you guys bring this weird desk everywhere.